Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Frank Clark, and it is a pleasure to be with you all today for another episode of Psyched Perspectives. I'm joined by my lovely guest, Miss Shambrekia Wise, who is an author, entrepreneur, public health professional, Gates Millennium Scholar, mother, and a lover of travel. She and her daughter Sandy have created the Sightseeing Sandy Project, which is a book series that provides young kids the opportunity to travel the world without parents experiencing financial burden. The book series is designed to take kids across the world to learn about and appreciate other cultures and inspire kids, especially those who are underprivileged, to be their own heroes, pilot their own journey, and inspire interest in world travel. So without further ado, Shambrekia, it is a pleasure to be with you, and I look forward to our discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time coming. I know we talked about this forever ago, and then life just kept lifing. So I'm happy that we actually were able to sit down and do this today.
Absolutely, same here. So I've been following, I know we follow each other on LinkedIn, and we've been following each other for a while. I've known each other and been able to fellowship. But I just first want to say how proud I am of you and your daughter because you were pouring so much positivity in the world. We need positivity. We need kids to recognize their potential and to know that the light will outshine the darkness. So I just appreciate this book series. I appreciate you. I appreciate your daughter. And which brings me to my first question. So I know you have a public health background. Many people may not know that about you, but so you're a nerd like myself. And so, but when I think about public health, we obviously think about the social norms and the legislative policies that impact a lot of the communities that you and I belong to, but all communities. And so we think about health inequities and health disparities. And I would love for you to speak to our audience about how does your background in public health inform what you do, especially with this project that's been a labor of love for you and your daughter.
The core focus of Sightseeing with Sandy was to spark, creativity and imagination and the belief that, I can blank, whatever that is, for kids. But honestly, adults need that right now too. So going to your question, my public health background just honestly opened up my eyes. And for me, it removed prejudices and biases that I may not have even known that I had. It removed the veil and the curtain for those to just kind of sit behind the scenes, if you will, and made me be like aware to think of like people that don't look like me, that don't have my walk, that may have different life experiences, which go hand in hand with ultimately kind of how our health pans out, if you will. And so it humanizes me in a way to where I'm able to speak to anyone with tact, manners, respect, everything. And remember that at the end of the day, we're all human and we all bleed and we all need the same necessities in life for it to be vibrant for us and for it to be fulfilling. And I feel like we deserve that regardless of what our stories may have been chapters before. And so I just feel like my public health background helps keep that foundation of wanting to be seen, appreciated, loved, understood, accepted. It pans over so, well and seamlessly into the children's series because that's exactly what we talk about in a different way, if you will. But it's done so by travel. Like we are guests when we go into these other places, and we make a point to understand how their lives are lived on a daily basis, what's important to them, and maybe not necessarily adopting certain practices that they do, but definitely being respectful of them. And I've tried to teach Sandy that in real life too. And I think I've done a good job because she does not have many judgments. The only thing she will just be a staunch supporter of is do I get to eat? Like what do we get to eat? What kind of food do we have awaiting us wherever we're going? Because sometimes we will do like real life things to associate our understanding with the books that we write. I remember like Holy, for instance, we participate in some of the festivals, and she was like, "Do they have stuff that's not super spicy?" I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm good with the spice. You may not be good with the spice. So we'll get you a snack just in case. But no, it's like it makes her aware. Like if I'm going to this type of place, this is the type of food they're gonna have. And that's something that maybe as adults we take advantage of, but it says a lot for a 6-year-old to be like, okay, I know if I get butter chicken, my mouth is not gonna be on fire. And so I think, even those small nuances create a more intellectual conversation and being, specifically speaking for my kid, than probably what she would have been at this age had I not been as intentional and had I not honestly just kept my core, as my truth.
There was so much that resonated with me, so much richness in your response. But the thing that I kept thinking as I was hearing you talk was the term cultural humility. Because I feel like with your sightseeing series, that as readers are being immersed into different cultures, that's how we can achieve, or maybe not achieve, but hope to aspire to cultural humility, which is so important in healthcare. Every day we meet people from diverse backgrounds. And I have always been one to believe that cultural competency is not attainable because we are never going to be culturally competent, but we can practice cultural humility. And I guess both are needed, but I feel like when you're talking about this series, you're able to take kids and adults, because I agree, we all love to travel, on a journey, on a journey of immersion. And when we are immersed in different cultures, we have a better appreciation, in my opinion, for all that is vibrant. I love that word that you use, vibrant, for life.
No, absolutely. And again, like I am so inspired by my daughter. She makes me think about things outside of my adult goggles that I have now because of life. She's still a kid, and while she's a very well-rounded, well-informed kid, she still has the innocence of a child. And she makes sure that, you know, anything I'm trying to convey, it's like, okay, mom, now I get where you're going with this, but if I was reading this and not your kid, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. So she has her own little way of bringing me back down to earth, and just about every day. Just about every day. I'm working on tact with her right now, but she is totally me through and through, inside and out. So it's only so much I can expect from her.
Now, I feel you on that in many ways. As my wife and I, we have a daughter who's 6, and I say she's going on 16, but actually she'll be 7 in a couple of weeks. But she definitely brings a lot of light to our world and that vibrancy again that you talked about. And she is one that is not ashamed to share how she feels. And as a fellow children's book author, I have her read through my books, and she will tell me if this, I guess, if that tracks or slaps, or I know this new lingo. I guess we have to do a 6-7 while we're here on this episode. So, but um, but I appreciate her vulnerability and integrity because I do feel like our children really have a way of humbling us and allowing us to focus on what's really important, and seeing the world, literally and figuratively speaking, through their eyes can allow us to modify our cognitive lenses and our core beliefs.
No, absolutely. And again, kind of like you said, just her having the integrity that she does. It's not necessarily going to be, in my opinion, with Zendaya. It's not the textbook integrity. It is the raw, like untainted, thankful for that at this point, unfiltered, like so simple version of integrity. And I think that is so beautiful because while I try to be a good person, like, I can't help but to incorporate sometimes my life experiences, but she's definitely like that foundation. She's that part of the balance. It's like, okay, well, that might be true for you, but over here in the world of little people, like this is how we should look at it, and these are the things that we care about. So, I love the fact that we have the relationship where she's not afraid to tell me no, or she's not afraid to respectfully rebuttal something I've said or done. And that spans out of sightseeing with Andy. That's just in our everyday life. Like I give her the space to talk to me, and I give her the space to honestly rate me because I'll ask her like, okay, I've been busy this week. How did mommy do? Did I still balance you out? Did I still give you that time? Because by me pouring into her and letting her know that she's valued, she is important, she's seen, she goes out into the world and she treats others like that too. And I hear about that sometimes when she's telling me about these stories at school and she just says these things. And I'm like, I never say anything while she's talking, but at the end, I affirm her. I'm like, do you realize you did this? Like, good on you. Because at your age, I don't think I would have thought to do that. So I see so much of a beautiful, like, absorption, if you will, from our kids' perspectives when they see us do things and when they see us act on things a certain way. I promise you is mirrored in their own little twist. So yeah, I totally agree. Like they have just a way of correcting us, if you will, and checking us too. And I don't know about yours, but mine has no problem with just saying it like it is. And I'm like, you may have been born on my grandma's birthday, but you are not hurt. I'm gonna need you to bring that down like 3 levels.
Well, no, I our daughter is she has some sass, that's what I will say, but I can appreciate that. And there was something else you said that really stuck with me too. And I applaud you, and I feel like as parents maybe we don't do this enough, allowing our children to give us feedback.
Yeah. Um, I feel like if we don't give them the space to do all the things, like from whatever range that may be for you, they're going to go out in life and do it.
Mhm.
And we don't know the implications of that. It could be bad, it could be good. But I would rather her test all the waters here at home, regardless of how crazy they are. And as long as it's not putting foil in my microwave, like test out everything at home. Talk to me first. Run things by me. You have a safe space. I tell her every day, your job is to be a student. And that is a student at school, a student in life, and a student here at home. You are not supposed to know any and everything all the time perfectly. I'm like, that is why you were given teachers and parents to help guide you. But you can't be afraid to step out and do the things. Like, don't worry about not being perfect. If I waited to be perfect, none of this would have been done. I am okay with not showing up to where I feel like I'm checking everybody's boxes because at the end of the day, I had to realize these are the things I'm doing for me and you. And we are going to find the people that like us and that align with us. But at the end of the day, I can't wait until everything is just perfect and in sync the way society may want it to be because that's just not how life is. So I'm raising her for life and not for the perspective of her being perfect to set out for life. Because that's like all action as far as like the pre-action, if you will, but ultimately no execution because they haven't at that point. Well, with this child, we've executed all the things repetitively. And we talk about our wins, we talk about our not so wins, but she sees me being able to get up from whatever situation that is and continue to push on, continue to make things happen. We have been so blessed to have people just gravitate to us and fall in our universe. And it's always been people that we needed, and it's always been timely. And so I make sure and share those testimonies with her too, because I'm just like, do what you have to do what you're supposed to do, and you will be blessed because of the things and how you show up in those things.
Absolutely. Well, I have a couple more questions for you. So I want to dive in a little bit more into this book series. And so my first question is, what is your why behind how the book series even came to fruition or the inception of it? And I've read about this, but I would love for you to talk to our audience members on this. And then the second question is, as what would you say to a mental health professional like myself or those who are going to be viewing this? Why might a child and adolescent psychiatrist or adult psychiatrist, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, a mental health social worker, et cetera, why might we be interested or why should we be interested in your book series?
Absolutely. So the first part, I actually want to do it backwards if you're okay with that.
Sure.
Um, My book series is literally made for everyone. And if a person hasn't seen someone that they feel like they can relate to just yet, it's coming. We can only kick out so many at a time, but I literally have everyone in mind. And I feel that in every field of medicine, it's so important that your patient sees someone that they can connect with in whatever way that is. And if I can't connect with my practitioner just by looking at them or hearing their backstory, if I see something in their office that says, "Hey, I see you. I can relate to you. I want to understand you. I may not understand everything about you and your culture, but I appreciate, having you as a client so much, and I want to create such a safe space for you." And, as far as the kids go, they'll see these books and they're like, you know what? I can identify with that little girl, or I can identify with that little boy, or my family is from there, or I've been there. It's a talking point. It opens up the world of like understanding and being able to bridge whatever gap that might be in that patient's mind. Because every physician, every practitioner, every nurse, whatever, they're not unknown to the world of travel, obviously. But it still may be some aspects of different cultures and different people that may be missing the mark for these kids, if you will. And we have to find a way to connect with them. And I say that as a parent, I have to understand what 6-7 means. Like I had to do my own research on that. I'm like, okay, so I'm me, and I'm gonna be like, okay, but this kid didn't start that. Who started this? So that was actually a really cool story too. And I made Sandy make sure she knew that as well, because I'm like, give credit where credit is due. But, understanding even the lingo with my kid and understanding what's trending, it gives us more of a basis to talk. And she sees that I'm not judging her. She sees most of the time I support her if she wants to do something. And I'm always there for her protection. I'm always there for her benefit, and never to stop her or make it harder. And I feel like that same care and concern can basically be in that situation too with your healthcare providers when they have adolescents and younger children that they're treating. I'm here for your benefit. I'm here to make you comfortable. I'm here to give a safe space where you can feel what you need to feel, but hopefully you can identify that I still see you in a way, and I'm trying to be there in a way for you to understand me like I want to understand you, and for me to appreciate you like I hope you will appreciate me too. So I hope that answers that question for you.
It does. And I appreciate that. And I know I have purchased one of your books for our daughter, and I'm looking forward to delving into it over the holiday season because again, there's so much richness there. And as like I said, as a fellow children's book author, I think that books are not just for kids. We're all kids. Even though we're adults, we're still kids at heart who love to play and to imagine, and we all want to continue to be innovative. So again, kudos to you and your daughter.
Thank you so much. And I saw that you had gotten the Paris book, and that's actually one of my favorites. I had gone to Paris for a few days back in, I want to say 2018. And when I got there, my mom was keeping my dog and my little girl. And I said, Mom, I said, I really feel at home here. And she was like, Well, you're not. Your bad children are here and you need to come back. And so I was like, you know what? Nah. I enjoyed myself to say the least. But about a year ago, we were doing an event at Bloomingdale's in Chicago. It was a Sightseeing with Sandy by Bloomingdale's event. It was so fun. We had such a great time. My mom had just gotten word back from the military after she was trying to find out my great 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 grandfather's not medical, but his military like history and like where he was. He was actually based in France during one of the world wars. And I
Wow.
was like, oh my God. I'm like, some of the places I really fell in love with were just that old. Like they were abandoned buildings, but it was just so beautiful. Like the architecture was just gorgeous and you could tell it was hundreds of years old. And I felt like I was so at home there. And of course, Bessie Coleman went over there to learn how to fly because, of course, she couldn't learn here during that time. And that's actually the moxie, if you will, that we gave to the main character in the book was based off Betsie's like will and desire to be any and everything she wanted to be. So everything has a meaning in our series, and I love that so much because of that reason. The other question that you did ask me, how did we get started? And basically, that was because of Sandy. We were traveling, and I was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2015. And I was invited to do a round table a few years later in LA. And she had never really gone on a proper vacation at the time. And so I was like, come on, let's go. They're covering everything for me. God bless it. So you hop along and just have fun. And so the first day that we had the opportunity to do so, we went to the beach and we stayed in Newport Beach, and then we went to Balboa Island, and we just walked on the beach. We had such a great time, and it was like this whole new kid was unlocked, and I'm like, who is this? Like she just had such a joyous time. It was so beautiful to watch, honestly. And while we were traveling, she had noticed it wasn't a lot of kids on the plane, number one, and not a lot of kids on the plane that looked like her. And so she had a very loud voice as a small child, and half the plane wanted to know where all the black people were when she made a point of it. So I was like, say it a little bit louder. I said, row 30 didn't hear you. And she started, so I was like, I was kidding. So I covered her mouth real quick. I said, we will talk. And it was so cute. It was a couple in front of us. And they turned around. They were so sweet. They were like, she has a point. She has a really good question. I'm like, y'all are not helping. Because nobody on that plane understood the type of child I was raising. She just had a problem. She was going to make it known. So I told her, I said, I should have named you Sally from Charlie Brown because I said, that is you through and through. But we talked about it. And I said, financial barriers, time, parents got to take off work. Not everybody can do that. Money, health reasons that, bar people from being able to even leave the hospital sometimes. I said, all these things play into the fact why you may not see a certain demographic traveling. And she said, well, that's just not fair and we got to change it. So at first she wanted me to buy everybody plane tickets. I said, I don't know whose money and bank account you think I have access to, but that's just not going to happen anytime soon. And so I said, give me something else. Um, then she wanted to make a cartoon. And I said, I love that idea because I did want to affirm her, even from that age. I never taught her the word can't. And I did that on purpose. Life did, but I didn't. So I wanted to affirm her. And I said, that is a wonderful idea. That is practical. I love it. I love cartoons. I know you love cartoons. I don't have the know-how on how to actually animate. I said, but let's put a pin in it and we'll come back to it. And I said, I'll find some people that can do that. And I did. And Mike Owens and Wendy Owens are some of my favorite people. And while they haven't animated anything for me, they have just been in my corner, educating me, making sure that I am aware of what's available and what's out there. So hats off to Mike and Wendy Owens all day long. Um, but yeah, so then the third thing was she said, are you too old to write a children's book? And I'm like, no, I'm not too old to write a children's book. She said, well, let's do that. So on MLK 2020, she was out of school and we went to Barnes and Noble in Dallas and I taught her how to do market research. And I showed her the kids section. I said, we want to go into the section where it's like a series or travel, just look to see what you can find. And she said, Mommy, I don't see anything like what I want to write. I said, well, then, Sandy, that's what we got to write. And so the rest was history.
I love that because you are teaching her the value of perseverance and creativity. But this almost sounds like a quality improvement project in a lot of ways. Excuse my nerdiness of healthcare, but it does. She identified a problem and she saw ways to improve it, both of you, and you pouring into her again and affirming her and validating her concerns. You didn't shut her down. that will speak volumes to her not only now but as she goes forth and with her, along her trajectory of life. So, what a great gift for her and for you and for all of humanity. All right. So before we end today, Shambrika, you have given us so much food for thought, but I cannot close this episode without hearing about this new board game which you shared with me last evening when we were preparing for this episode. So could you please talk about this new endeavor that you and your daughter are embarking on?
Absolutely. So we, have done 6 books for Sightseeing with Sandy. We've done Bahamas, Paris, Jamaica, India, North Africa, and Chicago. Chicago being the only domestic one, but how can you not at Chicago?
It's my
Um,
hometown, by the way, of course. So
I know, I love it. I loved it. We lived up there for a few years and just beautiful times, pretty much the entire time we were there. We loved it and definitely going back sooner than later. But we wanted to do something different. I'm like, what's something that's going to appeal to more people and, give more people the opportunity to really look into what we're doing in this world that we're creating. And I thought about it, and especially like during COVID, which is actually when the game board was actually created, was August 2020. And it's game. Like everybody was doing game boards, but game boards can be very unattainable for people because of the high volume that you need to produce to get the cost down, but still the cost of producing that many games is not always attainable. And I know like if we weren't blessed with the people that we had in our corner, that would have been us for a minute too. So we were able to get 1,500 games for our first order. They are on their way from Shanghai right now. Yeah, I'm like, God, no tsunamis, no hurricanes, like no whirlpools. Like just let it all be okay right now. But no, we're really excited, and the game board is 100 path game board, and you start in Dallas, Texas, and you have to go all the way around the world and get back home to win the game. And it's for 2 to 6 players. You can be any age. We have various levels of cards that are present, but this is a game that you could put in front of your kids while you're prepping dinner or you just need a break or something like that. And for the most part, the kids will be able to, play it themselves and be entertained and learn from it at the same time. I love it. We have over 200 cards in this first one. What's also special about this particular edition is that since our games will be over here early January, we're going to be marketing for Black History Month. And we actually have some Black History cards in there. So I'm really excited to share that level of knowledge too. But other than those cards, you will find geography, you'll find culinary arts, you'll find history and landmarks, like anything that you could pick out and pull out from our books, they will be represented in this game as well. And some of the questions actually are from the books. So it's not that you have to have the books to know the answer, but if you've read the books, then you'll know, the national trees of Jamaica, the national bird. You'll know about the Black River if you studied the geography, for instance. You'll know about Holy if you read that book. So it's very much an intentional way to create something that again is meant for the whole family to enjoy. And let's see here. This is what the front cover looks like. So still the
I
logo.
love it.
It's so awesome. I'm so happy. We're so proud. We just can't wait to like actually get them. I'm like, I know my anxiety is gonna shoot through the roof because it's like, okay, now I gotta sell these things. But me and my team, we're doing everything. Like, I did consider, doing Amazon, the fulfillment by Amazon, and nothing against them. But, this first round, I felt that these really needed to be able to come from us and have a special note. So while we will be able to have some pre-orders done using Seller Central with Amazon as well as Shopify, um, I'm still making sure that whatever we send in to Amazon or if we send them out ourselves, like we're including a special note to people just to let them know, like, hey, this has been a journey like no other, and we appreciate you so much for being here and for just being a wonderful part of it. And we also put like a thank you note on the inside with a QR code that will also direct people to a YouTube site on how to play the game. because we know people like to cheat because Sandy has tried it every single game. And I'm like, this is your game. Why are you cheating? Like, what is happening here? So she's pretty shameless. And I think actually I have beat her in every single game except for when I sent her home. And then she pulled a card that made her go back 4 spaces. I was like, that shouldn't even count. She's like, it's not in the rules. I'm like, you're right. Next time I'll put it in there. So, but no, it's been so fun. And it's great for her to see the culmination of her work because this is nothing that I've created without her. Everything that we've done and put out there, she has been a part of as well.
Well, you all are a dynamic duo, fierce, creative, innovative, and vibrant. That's the last word I'm going to use, the last adjective to describe the work that you or Sandy are doing. And it has been a pleasure to fellowship with you. May we be filled with the richness that we have been blessed with. May we be filled with the light that shines again, that will outshine the darkness. And may we be blessed with the peace that allows us to be transformed and so that we can be healing to others as well as they can heal us. Until next time, blessings and peace to all of you. I'm Dr. Frank Clark. This has been another episode of Psyched Perspectives.